Hello and welcome to this course on writing your family story. We're going to have a great time. I hope you really enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to it, so let's have a bit of fun. And where better to start than to consider why you want to write and for whom, because this will partially influence what you include and the style, the way you write it. So many people start writing their life story because they've been asked to, and that's always good because we like to feel that we're helping people. So maybe a friend or someone in the family has said, "Look, oh, you really should write. You've seen some amazing things." It may be a grandchild, of course, and they want to know a bit more about you, or maybe one of your children, and they want it for future generations. Maybe you've already decided that you want to record something so that the future members of the family will know something about you, and of course not just you, but parents and grandparents, that side of things. I mean, maybe you regret that your parents or grandparents didn't write, but you have this opportunity to say something about them. The odds are you know far more about them than you realise, and it's often the small details that really make a wonderful book, those small anecdotes. So I've got this theory that when we pop off, for good or for bad, we'll be remembered, but what gets lost is the generation or two above, your memories of your parents and grandparents. So for example, if you do remember one of your grandfathers, did he wear a hat? If so, what sort of hat? Was it a flat cap? Was it a trilby? Was it a bowler hat? All these things say something about him. Did he smoke? Most people did. What brand of cigarette? Was it Woodbine, which were known as coffin nails at the time? Or perhaps he rolled his own, or maybe smoked a pipe, and you can remember that smell, that sweet smell of, I don't know, St. Bruno or Golden Virginia. Maybe you had to pop along the shop to buy it for him. Maybe you remember the newspaper he read, the football team he supported, whether he was musical and always singing, or whether he was a practical joker, maybe he was very strict. All these things build a picture, and it's those little small anecdotes. Maybe what your father said when he came into the house, maybe he had a pet nickname for you. I mean, I remember, for example, Dad, he'd be in front of the mirror combing his hair, and he'd say, "You're so lucky, you know, to have such a good-looking father." Smile about it now, he's no longer around. They're the sorts of details, the smaller often the better, and you can help these people live on. Maybe you're lucky enough that someone in the family has written part of their story or their whole story, and you want to continue that trend. And if that's the case, welcome aboard also. You're most welcome. Of course, sometimes it's that loved ones or someone in the family has died too young, and obviously that's tragic. But we can remember them as well, and writing can be very cathartic, very therapeutic. And of course, they'll live on through the words that we write. So sensitivity is required, but we can help with that. Maybe you've always nursed this craving to write. You've always had this desire, the challenge, the satisfaction. I mean, after all, we are told that everyone can write a book, and I believe they can. But sadly, so few do. Let's buck the trend. You know, you can write that book, and here's your opportunity. So thank you for joining us. It could be to remember a particular episode in your life. A lady I worked with recently was a nurse, and she saw an advert for, they were looking for nurses to go on a ship. It wasn't one of these cruise liners with 18 or 20 stories that we have today. It was a charter ship. It was plying its trade between London and Johannesburg, or maybe Australia. And they had a couple of nurses on board, and she was one of them. And she had a wonderful time for 3 or 4 years, meeting people she'd never normally met, and of course visiting some amazing places. And my encouragement to her was also to write a little bit about her early life, because it's always nice to know about how they arrived at that particular position and a bit about their backgrounds. And so if that's your desire, I would encourage you to do something similar. Maybe you are looking for a hobby. What better hobby? This really is literally the hobby of a lifetime, your lifetime. Maybe you've been inspired by a TV program. There's lots, Back in Time for Tea, I know the 1940s House, Dad's Army, um, even something like The Good Life. I mean, when you look at the social history of the last 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years, it's absolutely immense. I mean, what children know today about, I don't know, telephone boxes, or when we first had a telephone at home, it was a party line. So occasionally we'd pick up the receiver and a neighbour would be on the line and we'd have to put the phone down. Well, that was the theory. It's all right, we did. Um, Maybe you want to get your book published. It's not impossible. It's very, very difficult, and I'll be explaining more about what's involved and the potential pitfalls, but if you don't try, you never know. Personally, I think the best reason for writing is because you're doing it for you, because you want to. I don't know why we find it so difficult in our culture to say that we're doing it for ourselves, but good on you. And if that's the case, well done. And whatever the reason, I'd love to help, and this is what this course is all about. So a little bit of homework before next time. Perhaps you'd like to write a sentence or two about why you're writing the book and who it's for. You might even want to put a deadline in. You want to, I don't know, complete it within the year or something like that. I've had people that I've worked with who've signed it and dated it to say, right, this is going to happen. Well, there's no reason it shouldn't happen, and I'm here to help. So thank you. Next time we'll be looking at your audience, who they are, and the implications of this. So please join me again. And thank you. You've made a start. Good on you. Bye-bye.